Hey guys, LevelCap here, and today we're taking a first look at Assassin's Creed Valhalla. Ubisoft recently invited me to take part in an early access capture event for the game, and I want to give them a big thank you for sponsoring this video. Now, normally with these first look kinds of videos, I like to give you a general overview of the gameplay and what to expect, but this time around I also want to spend some extra time talking about what things really stood out to me. Now, without a question, the coolest new feature of this game is that you can now pet dogs. Okay. Maybe it's not the coolest or biggest feature, but it is a nice little update to the game. But really what I want to dive into right away is the setting. Valhalla is set in the 9th century England, aka the Viking Age. In real life, this was a volatile moment in history that saw the Norsemen expand their territory throughout Europe with large-scale raids, setting up colonies, trade routes, and of course, wage a campaign of conquest. This age of Viking expansion lasted nearly 300 years and resulted in the Scandinavian territories we know today as Denmark, Iceland, Norway, Sweden, and more. Viking heritage and culture has persisted throughout the ages into modern times, and much of their language and mythos penetrate our modern fictions today. So without question, it's one of the more interesting periods of our history and makes for a great setting of an Assassin's Creed game. Through the game's main storyline, you'll spend a lot of time in the English countryside while also visiting key regions like Norway and even the mythical worlds of Viking lore or the New World of the Americas. Settings dictate almost everything about an Assassin's Creed game, and I think Valhalla really leans into its setting to a much greater extent than any game in the franchise ever has. It's as much a Viking simulator as it is a story about globetrotting assassins and Templars. We spent about 6 hours playing an early build of the game, and much of that was spent raiding or attacking settlements. The combat system is built around being a Viking, so you can do cool things like dual-wield various axes, hammers, and swords, while brutally demolishing your enemies. You can also engage your enemies in flight battles, which are essentially Middle Ages rap battles, because what Viking game would be complete without insulting your foes in rhyme?
Your pride is appalling, and your rhyming is worse.
Got you there, young Irv.
Now, like many of my favorite Assassin's Creed games, the thing that really stands out to me about Valhalla is that it's both a game about assassins in the shadows and a full-on simulation of characters and settings that it's based on. It really leans heavily into the Viking setting, not just as a story element or to lend credibility to the setting, but also in its gameplay and characters. You're a Viking, and that means you're going to get around in boats, listen to folk songs and stories, and lead brutal assaults on your enemies while surrounded by warriors with larger-than-life attitudes. The combat offers all the stealthy takedowns and archery that you would expect from an Assassin's Creed game, but the core focus is on massacring your enemies with vicious attacks. Your companions are all outlandish warriors who sing sea shanties, or they're devilish English folk that would sooner poison your wine than look you in the eye. And to me, that's what makes Assassin's Creed fun. You're not playing a fixed character hopping through generations. You're inhabiting a character from each period that also happens to be a stealthy assassin. And so the parkour and stealth elements that used to more define your character have really become just added attributes to a character that is now more interestingly tied into the theme or time period. Now, Valhalla also iterates on the RPG mechanics of the more recent Assassin's Creed games and gives you a massive skill tree to spec your character out with. As you play, you'll unlock skill points that can unlock bonuses and new attack options. You'll also find ancient texts that give you new adrenaline abilities. These are your quick action button combo options that deal massive damage to the enemies. They're fittingly brutal attacks that reward good gameplay and work as panic buttons when you're getting overwhelmed. You also have a settlement which you can upgrade to get stat boosts like increased stamina or attack damage using supplies. Now, raids are where you'll get most of your supplies, and I gotta say it was really the highlight of my capture session playing through these. They take place on specific locations around the map and begin when you sound your battle horn. Your Viking companions will storm the area and help you loot treasures and resources. But really the highlight of the raid is just getting to mow down droves of enemies. The game throws waves of them at you in smaller raids and entire battalions of soldiers at you in the bigger ones. And Valhalla doesn't just tell you about some big epic battle that happened at a fort you're visiting, it has you actually play through that entire epic battle. Being a stealthy ninja Viking assassin is totally doable, and if that's your preferred way of playing, nothing about the game will get in your way. You can leave the raiding to the NPCs if you like, and just go about assassinating your targets during the carnage. But at the same time, the game lets you play as a Viking just as much as it does an assassin. So if you want to be right in the middle of that raid getting your true Viking on, you're welcome to do so. I mean, really, if you ever wanted to play a Viking simulator, Valhalla is exactly what you're looking for. I was really pleased to see Ubisoft lean so heavily into the Viking aspects of the game, because they could have easily just cast your character as some outsider or an Englishman that just interacted with the Vikings and wasn't a Viking themselves. Given the franchise's name, that might have even been the safe bet. But they let the setting dictate the gameplay, and Valhalla is so much better for it. In terms of the visuals, Valhalla is a pretty significant departure from the past two games. Those games were set in arid climates with lots of deserts and sparsely populated forests. Valhalla is much more rolling green hills and billowing forests. It's a nice change of scenery, and I think the footage makes it clear that it also looks very good. Overall, we had an absolutely great time in the play session, and being a Viking, in a video game anyway, is pretty much as fun as it sounds like it would be, and I'm also really interested to see where the story ultimately goes. What I played so far definitely has me hooked in terms of the narrative. Viking history and mythology have definitely earned a reputation as being the badasses of history, and there's a lot packed into the brief time I had with the game already. Now, I'm curious to hear what you guys think. Are you excited for this change in setting? What most excites you about Viking gameplay? Let me know in the comments down below. As always, guys, thanks for watching. Thanks so much to Ubisoft for sponsoring this video, and I'll see you guys next time. This is LevelCap signing off.